Beneath the surface of every cemetery lies a world seldom seen by the living, a world of silence, shadows, and secrets. Gravediggers, those unsung caretakers of the dead, spend their working lives in the company of the departed, surrounded by headstones and stories long since told. But for some, the nights spent among the graves have yielded chilling experiences that defy explanation, leaving them haunted by memories more terrifying than any ghost story whispered on Halloween. These are the accounts that linger in the darkness, the tales that gravediggers seldom share with outsiders. One such story begins in a small, fog-shrouded churchyard on the edge of a forgotten village. The gravedigger, a seasoned man named Edwin, had worked the grounds for over 30 years. He prided himself on his stoicism, unflinching in the face of superstition or sorrow. But one autumn night, as the wind howled and fallen leaves danced among the tombstones, Edwin found himself digging a new grave beneath the gnarled branches of an ancient yew tree. The roots twisted deep into the earth, resisting his every effort to break through. As he hacked at the stubborn soil, he heard a faint tapping sound coming from beneath his spade. At first, he dismissed it as the echo of stone striking root, but the tapping grew louder, more insistent, almost rhythmic, like the desperate knocking of a trapped soul. Unease prickled at Edwin's neck. He paused, listening intently. The tapping ceased, replaced by a low, guttural moan that seemed to seep from the earth itself. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet shifted, and the soil caved in, revealing a dark, rotting coffin not marked on any map or record. The wood was splintered, the lid askew. Inside, a pair of empty eye sockets seemed to stare up at him, and for a moment, Edwin swore he saw the jawbone twitch, as if forming a silent cry for help. He stumbled back, heart pounding, and fled the graveyard, unwilling to finish the job until the sun rose again. The next morning, he returned to find the coffin sealed tight, the grave untouched, as though the night itself had played a trick on his mind. Yet he never forgot the sound, the desperate, hollow tapping from below. Another account comes from Maria, a gravedigger who worked the night shift in a sprawling city cemetery. She grew accustomed to the solitude, the quiet shroud that fell over the rows of stone after dark. But there was one grave, marked only by a weathered cross, that she avoided whenever possible. Locals whispered that the woman buried there had been a witch, condemned and executed centuries earlier. Maria dismissed the tales as superstition, but one evening, as she cleared leaves from the headstone, she felt a chill settle over her. The air grew heavy, pressing against her lungs, and her breath came out in foggy plumes that lingered unnaturally in the still air. As she worked, she heard the faint sound of laughter, high, brittle, and unmistakably female. The laughter echoed from the ground, swirling around her in the cold wind. Maria froze, shovel in hand, as the temperature dropped even further. Suddenly, the soil at her feet trembled, and a hand, skeletal, pale, and impossibly cold, burst through the earth, grasping at her ankle. Maria screamed, wrenching herself free and stumbling backward. When she looked again, the hand was gone, the ground undisturbed. Terrified, she fled, and for weeks afterward, she felt the icy grip of that phantom hand in her nightmares. In a rural graveyard bordered by dense forest, another gravedigger named Thomas recounted his own harrowing experience. He often worked late into the night, guided only by the weak glow of his lantern. One evening, as a storm brewed overhead, Thomas found himself digging a grave near the tree line. The wind carried strange sounds from the woods, whispers, laughter, the rustle of unseen creatures. But what truly unsettled him was the sensation of being watched. He glanced up to see a figure standing among the trees, shrouded in shadow. The figure's eyes glinted in the lantern light, unblinking and cold. Thomas called out, demanding to know who was there, but the figure remained silent, unmoving. As the storm broke and rain lashed the ground, Thomas's lantern flickered and the figure seemed to dissolve into the darkness. But the feeling of being watched persisted, growing stronger with every shovelful of earth. That night, as he tried to sleep, Thomas heard footsteps circling his small cottage, the crunch of gravel and the creak of hinges. He dared not look outside. In the morning, he found muddy footprints leading from the graveyard to his door, vanishing at the threshold. From that day forward, he never worked past sunset, unwilling to face whatever lingered in the shadows beyond the graves. Other grave diggers speak of apparitions seen at the edge of vision. Figures in old-fashioned clothes drifting among the tombstones, eyes hollow and searching. Some tell of voices calling their names, urgent and pleading, though no one else is present. There are tales of tools disappearing, of lanterns inexplicably snuffed out, of cold spots so intense they freeze the marrow. In one notorious case, a gravedigger in the Victorian era claimed to have seen the earth at a fresh grave bulge and writhe, as if something inside struggled to escape. He refused to ever dig alone again. Not all horror in the graveyard comes from spirits or restless dead. Some gravediggers have stumbled upon the aftermath of grave robbers, unearthing bodies violated and coffins pried open, the air thick with the stench of decay and desecration. The sense of intrusion, of a sacred boundary crossed, leaves a lingering dread that seeps into the bones. In rare cases, gravediggers have reported encounters with the living, strangers lurking among the graves at night, their intentions unclear, their faces hidden in shadow. These chilling accounts are more than just stories. They are warnings passed from one generation of gravediggers to the next. They speak of a world where the line between the living and the dead is thin, where the night holds secrets best left undisturbed. Whether the horrors are born of restless spirits, guilty consciences, or the darkness within the human heart, those who tend the graves know that sometimes it is not the dead who haunt the living, but the living who awaken the dead. So the next time you walk past a quiet cemetery at dusk, spare a thought for the grave diggers, those solitary keepers of the threshold. For in the stillness of the graveyard, beneath the watchful eyes of stone angels and weathered crosses, they have seen things that defy explanation, things that chill the soul and linger long after the sun has risen. And in the silence that follows, one question remains. When the night falls and the shadows gather, what truly waits beneath the earth?